We're going to take a look at Monday, November 11th. Welcome to Veterans Day Advanced Class. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at our story, Locker Junkie, our vocab list, and all kinds of fun things for today. Real quick, with the words, to make sure you're ready, you'll have the test coming up a week from today, which will be next Monday. You have Ancient, Lady Tiger, which means very old, older than dirt, even older than dirt. Potent, from Fun They Had, which means powerful or strong. Actually, no. Potent is not from Fun They Had. Potent was from the one with the fisherman. That was actually from the fisherman, because it says, I will make you a potent leader. That meaning he was going to become a very powerful leader once he got released, and no one did. So I wrote down the wrong one. Silly me. Pacific, which means calm or peaceful. So he says he's walking down a Pacific thoroughfare, meaning the fact that it's an empty, not very busy street. Yeah?
The Pacific Ocean is ironic.
It is. Why?
It has big waves.
It does. But when they first found it and named it, the part that they found, they thought it was much calmer than the Atlantic. After finding the Atlantic, they went all the way across the United States and they found the other side. And they're like, this ocean is so much less crazy than the Atlantic one. So they decided to call it the Peaceful Ocean. And then it becomes crazy because some of the death surfing's there because of the waves. It's just the part that they found. But yeah, it is rather ironic. It was crazy. Old people. Simultaneous from after 20 years, because it's when they turn to look at each other, and it says they turn, and when they light, they turn at the simultaneous time to see each other. It means happening at the same time. Retrieve reformation, you have genial, meaning happy, friendly, cheerful, Miss Brovicast. Retribution, punishment for something. Not having your homework done tomorrow, the retribution would be me beating you with a stick while people laugh. And then convulsion, from retrieve reformation. A jiggly fit. Seizure or a muscle spasm, and that's like jiggly. It looks like a fit. It's a convulsion. And then the queer, when they talk about all of the tools that he had, and several of them were queer tools, it means odd, different, weird, not the same as other things. That's where queer comes in. And then the last two are from a story we're going to get to next week, which would be right after we take the test, but there are two ones I like, and I really like the story. Brisk, meaning quick, lively, or energetic. And then you also have compulsion, irresistible impulse to act or do something, which actually works well for the book we're reading with Catharsis. I would say that she has multiple compulsions in the story, where she feels that she has to do something even though she doesn't necessarily want to do. Yeah, compulsions. And then hopefully her compulsion will lead others to have a convulsion. Because you figure if she goes and attacks them, then they fall and I know, and they're like, just a couple letters off, hilarious. Alright, real quick, we'll run through and do this. I'm going to stand over here on this side, so hopefully you look this way, unless you feel the need to look that way to see them. But my goal is to run through it once again, to beat it into your brain and see how well you do from there. I'll do the hand signs, you guys do them with me at the very end. Right now we're doing them all together. So right now we have
characters, who's in the story, setting, when and where, plot, what happens, point of view, how we see the story, theme, what we learn, internal conflict, decisions, external conflict.
Aren't you guys special? Alright. Then, now you can put the notebook away. When is the test?
Monday.
A week from today. I'll do my best to send out the Remind 101 this coming weekend to try and remind you to go ahead and study it and have them. If you forget the words, they are on Blackboard and you can get them via that way. What is due tomorrow?
Our homework.
Nice. Put short story homework number 2. I'll send out the reminder for that one. So we have the book choice. And then quiz on Friday. Good to go. Alright. For the story Locker Junkie that we get into today, with the title, 2 things to cover with that. The 2 words of it. First, locker. You guys know what a locker is.
Yeah.
Well, then,
where you lock it.
so then all metal makes a clangy sound.
Yeah, we all use this.
Do you guys know what a junkie is?
I think a guy that eats junk.
Aren't you like obsessed with something?
Nicely done. That you're obsessed with something. Normally, junkie comes from the idea of drug addicts because they're obsessed with drugs. And you have a junkie as a person that's like out on the street, like, drugs. And they're all, but you can be a junkie of any number of things. A lot of you guys can be sugar junkies, or you can be monster junkies. You just drink those things down back to back. My wife is a Starbucks junkie.
I'm a Starbucks junkie.
So anytime that you have something that you are addicted to that you cannot give up, you become a junkie. Okay?
My baby brother, he's a YouTube junkie.
That's kind of scary.
He's a what junkie?
Yeah, my daughters have done the same thing. They like to just start with one. They started off that stupid Fox thing, and then they just do the links on the side. And my daughter managed to find like a 5-hour thing for the Fox. It was like a repeating loop that someone had set up. And she's like, Dad, 5 hours.
What Fox thing?
What does the Fox say?
Yeah, don't even.
Yeah, someone looped it 5 hours and put it on there. So, what we have with the title of the story, Locker Junkie, my question becomes, any predictions on what you think the story would be about? How can you have a locker junkie? Keegan?
A dude that's obsessed with keeping things in lockers or loves to break into lockers for random who knows what.
Random who knows what does sound like fun. Or someone that's addicted to keeping things in lockers. I can see that. That's all we have. Alright. Grant?
He could be one of those guys that keeps so much money in his locker and waiting for Jimmy Valentine to crack it open.
Interesting. And Bender?
You can just steal a bunch of lockers.
Steel lockers? They are rather large things to carry around. Sure.
He's got a board.
Well, if you do it
AK?
Maybe he's like addicted to like putting stuff in his locker so it's like really dirty and like chunky.
Oh. Let's find out. Locker junkie. We'll get into it further.
Wait, did you write this?
No, it'd be silly.
But it's okay. I think he wrote it.
It's going to talk about cellophane packaging in a moment. If you don't know what cellophane packaging is, it's the
Wait, Mr. Brovicast, that's the name that's on your.
crinkly stuff that's on like.
Yeah, it's different.
It's that. That's cellophane packaging. Keegan?
It's that plastic that you can wrap around anything, and then then you have to take something warm like a blow dryer and it shrinks.
You are correct. Alright. It ain't getting in trouble if you don't get caught. Zach repeated the phrase to himself again as he glanced at the numbers scrawled on the piece of paper clutched in his hand. As long as he kept his cool and didn't look suspicious, he'd be fine. This would be easy. It'd been easy the first several times he'd done this, and it would continue to be easy for as long as he kept his cool. He scanned the hall with his eyes as he approached the locker. A furtive look behind him told him it was empty in that direction. He saw another student, some stupid preppy girl named Jersey, walking in the cross hallway, but she was heading away from him. The locker was coming up on his right. It was just past the crazy German teacher's room who kept yelling at her class with words he didn't understand. Being near her class always made him think of the Nazis in the Indiana Jones movies. Achtung this and mein Leben that. He spun the dial on the locker a few times to clear out any numbers or settings that may have remained in his memories. He didn't want to have to fumble with the lock and have some courteous teacher offer to help him. Wow, he mused. That could be bad. Bad enough that he didn't want to think about it. Locker number 417. Turn 15 to the right, 3 to the left, and 45 back to the right. What an easy locker combination. This guy was so lucky. It almost sounded like an easy math equation. He envied people who had locker combos this easy to remember. Some people had all the luck in life. Okay, now was the time to keep cool. He felt the tickling in the base of his skull again. The tickling feeling like he was a little kid on Christmas morning. He could see an acre of presents surrounding a huge tree. It was the tingle of excitement that came from knowing you were about to get something new that you didn't have moments before. He never knew what he would find when he opened a locker, but he was always happy to find money. Maybe it would be a $20 bill that some kid's mom had given him to use for lunch that week, or a $10 bill a girl had squirreled away in a coat pocket from babysitting a younger brother. Or once, he found a whole cup full of quarters in some girl's top locker shelf. That had been a tough one to sneak back to class, but it was the excitement that made it fun. The knowledge that he was doing something wrong and getting away with it. But money wasn't what he was really wanted to find. Money was always good, you just couldn't go wrong with it. But money wasn't fun when you found it. It was only fun when you spent it. And he wanted the finding to be fun. What he really loved finding were the forgettable things. Stuff he could take and the kids would never remember they had it. He wanted to find cool pins or a bag of candy or a pocket laser or any other random thing he might come across that would just be neat. Something that would make his eyes light up. He referred to these things as stocking loot. Whatever he found in his stocking on Christmas was never worth much money, but it was always fun to play with. It would entertain him, and that was what was important. Zach closed his eyes and slowly opened the locker. He had just recently started opening the lockers with his eyes closed. It made it more fun. Then he could open them and get a view of the locker all at once. It didn't really change anything, but it made it fun, and that's pretty much why he did this. It was just fun. In 2 months, in 50-some lockers, he had yet to be caught, or even suspected. Kids usually had no idea he'd even been in their locker. We'll pause there for just a moment. Characters and setting. We have, let's do our setting first. Where's our story taking place up to now? Gabby?
Like a school with lockers.
Where's your evidence?
Well, a place with lockers.
A place with lockers, okay.
Classroom.
He does talk about classrooms. We'll give you that too.
It could be a place with.
And a teacher. So a place with classrooms and a teacher and lockers. It probably does sound like a school. Maybe that's making sure he had that. And then what time of day is it in the school? Yes.
School time.
School time. So not like breaking in the middle of the night. So we have it taking place during the daytime. We have one character so far. Who's our one character that we have so far, Socks?
Zach.
Zach. And how would you describe Zach? What do we know about Zach?
He likes to break into people's lockers and take things.
Nicely done. And how many times has he done this? 50 times so far. Does he say why he does it?
Because it's fun.
Grant?
How does he know the locker combination?
Good question. Hopefully we find out.
Oh, didn't you go like this and then you like listen and when it clicks or something?
Could be, but he says he knew the combination already.
Yeah, he doesn't have
He says he walks up and he
Did you
says,
steal from the teacher?
he says he has the combination though. No left. Gabby?
Is the girl that's preppy, is her name Jersey because of like a jersey or a sports jersey?
Could be.
That's what?
You wrote this, didn't
That's
you?
what you're talking about. There's no evidence of that whatsoever.
Yeah, he wrote it.
He blew out his breath and opened his eyes at the same time. A red and black jacket was the first thing that caught his eyes. It was hung on one of the hooks and looked to be in really nice shape. He could see a label on the back collar, something like Black Dot, but it didn't really mean much to him. His eyes traveled downward next, and he saw all the books piled in the bottom of the locker. Well, piled was too neat of a word. These books had almost been arranged by some kind of deranged artist to look like they were about to fall out without actually dislodging themselves. He recognized a math book sticking up and back, and he could see a blue binder near the front. But the rest was just a tangle of white sheets of paper battling each other to escape the frenzy of pulped madness. Zach was tempted to touch it with the toe of his shoe to see what it would do, but he thought better of it. If he triggered its release like some kind of a school supply bomb, and it disgorged its contents in the hallway in a papery explosion, then he'd be stuck for sure. He wouldn't be able to waste time trying to stuff everything back in. He'd either have to leave it in the hall with the door open, or risk a teacher coming up to him while trying to cram it all back into its metal home. This was actually the best defense against his lockering, as he liked to refer to it. The neater a locker was, the easier it was to pilfer stuff without the owner knowing it. He could open the door and see what was good for the taking with only a cursory glance. But a messy locker would often cause him to give up and move on to the next. It just took too long to dig through piles of nasty to find anything worth taking. He figured it was best to just leave whatever was there and go on to the next one. Zach reached over and closed the locker with his left hand. As he did, he checked his watch. Good. Only 4 minutes had gone by since he'd left Mrs. Franklin's room. He'd be able to get back in plenty of time. And he almost missed it. A shiny cellophane package was sitting behind some shoes on the top shelf. His eyes caught it just as the door was closing, and he managed to stop it in time. He'd gotten so distracted with the mess at the bottom that he'd nearly missed the prize at the top. A silvery see-through package of possible goodness. He opened the door a bit wider and reached in to see what kind of reward today's efforts would produce. What delightful fruit would this metal tree give him? With a smile, he lifted the package out from behind the shoes, and then felt the same smile grow even wider. Gummy worms. Sour gummy worms even. What a score. It wasn't his favorite brand, or even one he recognized, but it was still a nice thing to get. In a swift, easy move, Zach pulled the worms off the top shelf and crammed them into his jeans pocket. He had to be doubly careful with this particular contraband. Unlike a cool eraser or a new pen, he had to be cautious with candy. Students weren't allowed to have candy during the school day, but this candy was even more dangerous than normal candy. It was stolen candy, and that would make it taste even better. Before he left, he pushed the smile from his face so that no one would question his happy mood, and then he gently closed the metal door. Now, he only had to return to class and plan out when to eat his delicious new treat. Two things real quick to pause, sorry. One, he talks about the best way to defend against his lockering. Why would that be ironic? The method that he mentions the best way to defend versus what teachers tell you, if you will. Chloe?
Well, it's the exact opposite of like what teachers tell you to do. They tell you to keep your locker organized.
And then why does that make things easier for him?
Because he can just see like what's in there without having to dig through stuff.
So then the best way to defend is?
Be messy.
Which is the opposite of what teachers. So it's the whole idea that those kids that don't listen to the teachers and manage to make their locker a giant disorganization are the ones who are the best defense. Those who are the good kids make it easy for them. So it's sort of that ironic twist. And then that metaphor that he mentions, in case I throw it, says, what delightful fruit would this metal tree give him? Keegan?
What good thing would he get from the locker?
Nicely done. Because basically it's like when you get fruit from a tree, you're plucking little gifts from it. Here he's doing the same thing. So this locker becomes like a little thing that's giving him gifts. The halls were still empty as he headed back to social studies. He didn't see a single student or teacher in the halls. It was almost like lockering was something he was meant to do. If it was wrong, then he wouldn't be able to get away with it like this. Surely some force in the world would stop him if it was wrong. But the world seemed to be smiling on him. With all this good luck, Zach decided to hit one more locker before returning to class. The first one had been completed so quickly, he still had over 5 minutes before his doddering old teacher would even realize he was gone. One more locker, and then back to class, he told himself. If it's not an easy job once open, then I just close it and go on. Simple as that. No need to push my luck. He smiled with the wisdom of this last thought. We're going to stop there. With your homework being to not read the story. Because if you finish this column, you won't be able to stop. So I wanted to stop before we get to the next part. One, you guys know what famous last words are? Every time someone says something, one of those famous last words. Lamb?
Well, for a redneck, it's usually, hey, y'all, watch this.
Nicely done. Because as soon as you go famous last words, it means you're saying something and then you're trying to tempt fate, if you will. And how does he just tempt fate?
Just one more.
Getting there. What was the last thing he said?
If I was meant to do it, like, if the hallways right into I was meant to do it.
That's part of it, and that's going to come back with what he finds in the locker. But then, let's see, it was an easy job once open, I just goes and go ahead and simple as that, no need to push my luck. As with that was the idea that he's trying not to push his luck and just do one more simple one. And there, look at you guys not following my one homework direction, trying to read on, you horrible children. Go ahead, put it away before we give you guys a chance. Don't read it. Alright. AK, stop trying to do your homework. I told you, once you find out what's in the locker, you're not going to stop. And it's just going to make you mad because you're going to come back. I'm going to try and give you guys a chance to stand up, and so Grant, you wanted to get points?
Yeah.
I tried. I didn't get a chance to stop soon enough. My many apologies. Tomorrow, homework is due. We'll get to our, what do you call that thing we do? Magic lens, and then we'll find out what's in the locker. Run away.